Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing what I kind of deem Thai visa misconceptions. There's a lot of, it's not so bad anymore, but there was a time, especially, I've been out here for going on 14, 15 years. And when I first came here, there was a lot more that was just sort of out in the ether. People would read a lot of things on forums that was usually, oftentimes it was bogus information or it was outdated information, or it was information about one province and didn't apply to another province. For the most part, I think a lot of the info out there now, it's getting better, let's put it that way. But there still seem to be some sort of general misconceptions about Thai visas and immigration in a general context. The first one that I see a lot, a yellow house book. A lot of folks think a yellow house book means they don't have to deal with, for example, TM30, which TM30 has to do with address reporting to Thai immigration. And this was really a bone of contention a couple of years ago. You know, folks really did not like discussing TM30, and they've since kind of rolled TM30 back insofar as it really is only required sort of once, and then sort of once a year, usually when people are extending their visas. But TM30 is still a requirement under the Immigration Act of '79, and a yellow house book doesn't have anything to do with it, because the yellow house book has to do with the civil registrar under the Civil Registration Act. It doesn't have anything to do with the Immigration Act. So TM30 is a requirement under the Immigration Act. A yellow house book does not mitigate or cancel the need for that requirement. Same thing goes for 90-day reporting. Yellow house books do not have any impact on one's need to do 90-day reporting. This is a misconception I sometimes see from folks, and it's just one that's out there. I see why, because the thinking is, look, I'm in the house book. You know, the government knows where I am. Why would I need to continue reporting? Well, they do know where you are under the civil registrar system, but immigration is a different system, and they're covered by a different act. And that act doesn't say anything about yellow house books. A more recent misconception I've seen from people is that a reentry permit is just as good as or the same as what's called a certificate of entry. And for those who are unaware, since the emergency decree was promulgated in March of 2020 in response to the COVID-19 situation, we have more and more been dealing with these things called certificates of entry, which were created under the Act. And essentially, it's an extra document associated, and it's actually an extra authorization that comes directly from Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Thailand that authorizes someone to enter the country. This is a different document from one's reentry permit. And if one has a visa extension that they have a reentry permit attached to, they still need to have a reentry permit to keep that extension going when they depart the kingdom. But in order to come back, there's currently, during this emergency decree, they're going to have to deal with a certificate of entry. Another kind of odd misconception is that there's only one type of retirement visa. Every now and again, I'll see people get into, I hesitate to call it an argument, but discussions where they say, well, I've got an O retirement visa. That's the retirement visa. And another person will say, well, I have an O-A retirement visa. That's the retirement visa. In point of fact, there's even another one, the O-X retirement visa, which is a retirement visa category. So there are multiple retirement visa categories out there. Another thing to think of, some folks kind of use the Thailand Elite visa in lieu of a retirement visa, as if it were a retirement. It's sort of in the same manner they might use a retirement visa. And then finally, there's just all kinds of misconceptions regarding work authorization lately that I've seen. And most notable, I've had some people ask me about working on a retirement visa. It, strictly speaking, is prohibited, and there's all kinds of ways folks want to try and go around that. I do understand as a practical matter, work authorization or, working in one's garden or something, I get it. There's clearly a difference between work and work. If you're working on, if you're fixing your television, is that work? Well, probably not. But yeah, Thailand does take or Thai immigration authorities and Labor Department take a rather strict interpretation of restrictions associated with with non-work authorized visas. So those who do kind of engage, especially in a more flamboyant manner, what could be defined as work, do run the risk of running into problems with respect to their visa status here in the Kingdom of Thailand.